Okay, so question of the day: how can I charge more without losing any customers? Okay, that's a great question. If you don't know me, my name is Riley Riles. I'm a startup advisor and investor. And so, question of the day: how can you raise your prices without losing your customers? So, the first thing that is super important is that you need to raise your prices constantly. Like, life gets more and more expensive, your tool gets more and more expensive, and at some point, it's gonna eat up your margins if you don't raise your prices. So it's super important to raise your price, and also it reflects on the quality of your product and services. So you really want to do that. That's super important. So now, how can you do that? So the first thing that you need to do is learn. You need to measure and learn. The first thing that you need to measure and learn is the impact of your work within the business. So what I mean by that is, you deliver a product or a service. What is the impact of that? What does your client get for that? It's super important that you're able to measure the impact of your work with your customers. Otherwise, then you'll be stuck at step zero. So measure the impact, try to talk to your customers, try to extract some of those results, some of those KPIs. So that you are able to say, okay, my product or service helps my customer do this, and this. And these need to be quantifiable success metrics. Then once you have those elements of measurements, then you need to communicate clearly that value to your clients. You need to be able to say, okay, so you've hired us to do XYZ, or you purchased our product. This helped you get there. And so once you've done that, then you can start saying, okay, you paid us $10, we helped you get 100. So de facto, we 10x'd the money that you gave us. And once you do that, then it becomes much easier to say, okay, so next time what's going to happen is that you're going to give us $10, but we're not going to 10x, we are only going to 8x the thing. And so that's a way for you to sort of raise your price. That's one way to do it. So what you can do here is, you can take a sheet of paper or an Excel spreadsheet, make 3 columns. On column number 1, put your current price, list all the features. On column number 2, you can double that price. And column number 3, you can 10x the initial price, your current price. And so what you're going to do is that you're going to brainstorm on, okay, if I double the price, what features could I add so then justify that price increase? And then what you're going to do is, you're going to do the same, and so 10x the price, so that you can then think, okay, if I get my client to pay 10 times more, what do I bring to justify that 10x? And that's a super important brainstorming exercise, because it will help you identify the things that you want to do. And it's super important because it's going to help you the things that you can put in place to improve your product and service, and then increase the price. So I have this little ideation exercise. If you're working with a couple of folks, trying to do that as a team exercise, and sort of identify as many features as you can, and see if this could make your product better. So that's a super cool thing. The other thing that you can do that is pretty straightforward is try to upsell your client for a new service. One of my clients actually did that. He was able to 3.5x his price with one of his clients by upselling him to a new tier of service. So we used the same thing, the Collins, and he was able to propose that, and he presented the value to the client, presented the history of the collaboration, sort of explained him that they were the best people to do this new kind of thing. And the client said, okay, let's give it a try. They tried it, they actually loved it, and now they stayed on this higher tier. So just upsell your client to a better version of the product. Apple does that all the time. For example, they have those low-end product, like the low-end iPhone, so that when you buy it, you get into the ecosystem, you fall in love with it, and so then you want to buy another product, and that is eventually more expensive, etc. So that's the other thing that you can do. Okay, so the other thing you can do is create a form of smart contract. This is my favorite my favorite sort of tactic. And so the way it works is basically having this conversation with your client and say, hey, what would it take for you in terms of results, quantifiable results, for you to automatically renew the contract? And so this is a great way to boost your retention, because you don't have to sort of renegotiate at every term of the contract the renewal, because you have the data and you agreed with the data. Of course, this is not foolproof. Some clients can say no and stop and break the contract, but that's the life of the business. But it's still a great way to boost retention. I personally use that. Some of my clients, when it applies, use that as well, and it's great for retention. And you can also use that for upsells. And so the question would be slightly different. It's basically saying, what quantifiable results would it take for you to get so we can take you on the next tier? So let's say if we help you make an extra $50, $100 million, then we would start charging you more for that. And so by defining those measurable goals at the beginning, you sort of ease your way of being able to upsell or retain your customer a bit more. And this is by far my favorite tactic. Like I said, I love this one. So let me know what you think about those methods. If you have any questions, you can write them down in the comments down below. If you're too shy, because I know some of you are too shy, I'll drop a form in the description so you can privately send your questions, and I'll make videos to answer that. If you want to get a live consultation with me for free, there's also a form in the description. So basically it's the consultation, the same one that I charge my customer, but I give it to you for free, and in exchange you allow me to publish it on YouTube. It's called SOS Riley. I hope you like this video, and until next time, boom.